Hey guys, welcome back to Forge. My name is Paul, and we're back today with another video. First of all, let me apologise for the slow uploads recently. I did fail some con checks and I've been quite ill. But we're back, and this time we actually have a request from a Giant in the Playground user, AluminumMan. So he requested a build based on the Iron Man villain Whiplash, because he thought it'd be cool to wield two whips with special properties, and he wanted it to have a martial feel, and he wanted it to come online around level 10 or 12. We actually get it online much earlier than that because he's okay using Matt Mercer's Bloodhunter, which helps make everything a lot easier. And if you're unfamiliar with who Whiplash is, well, maybe this will help you. Two energy infused whips, looking pretty badass. You can even style that chest piece as a breastplate. Yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it. So, the concept we've already covered pretty well. We're basically just going to be dual wielding whips and trying to do as many cool things with them as we can, as well as channeling energy. The highlights of this build is high melee damage at reach, and battlefield control and manipulation through reach enabled maneuvers. Now, for anyone not familiar, reach is essentially a weapon property that allows you to attack with a melee weapon outside of the standard 5-foot reach. This is typically just an extra 5 feet, or if you're playing on a grid, it looks like you have an empty square between you and the enemy instead of being in adjacent squares on the grid. So, for our race, we've gone with Variant Human. On screen you can see a snip from chickendinner.com. I've been asked about that before. It's just a really nice point-by calculator online. Below the calculator you actually have all of the racial features of your selected race. It's a really nice tool, and I'll pop a link for that in the description. With Variant Human, we're going to be able to start with a +3 to both our dexterity and our constitution. I've chosen to dump charisma to a 9. It didn't feel right to dump strength with this character, just because the character's pretty buff overall, although we won't be playing as a strength-based character. And it didn't feel right to dump intelligence because they did invent their own weapon-based system. I've chosen to go with a +1 to wisdom. The Bloodhunter's a wisdom-driven class. It doesn't include any multi-classing prerequisites. If your DM decides that it should be a 13, then you can just take charisma down to an 8 and move a wisdom to a 13. So, as our feat, we'll be taking tough. Tough is great, it's going to give us an extra 2 hit points per level, and that's great for general durability, but it's also going to help absorb our right damage from Bloodhunter, which I will pop up on screen now for you. So basically, Crimson Right is how we're going to be channeling energy into our whips, and essentially you take a bonus action to infuse your chosen energy type, and when you do so, you take an amount of damage equal to your level. I believe it is... yeah, so it's your actual character level. So even though we're only going to have 1, possibly a 2 level dip into Bloodhunter, it is still going to scale full character level like a cantrip does. So those extra 2 hit points per level plus from tough plus the +3 con is really going to help deal with that damage. Now we're going to be taking, I believe, Rite of the Storm as our right, which is going to give us lightning damage. I did this just because it felt like the most appropriate thing to get that Whiplash energy whip feel. So, skills wise, we're going to go with Athletics and Perception from Fighter. Again, he is pretty buff overall, and swinging those whips around is rather athletic. Arcana, History, and any 2 languages from our Sage background. I did take Sage here for the background as it is a very intelligent character. Scientist father, it just felt like the right background to take. And Investigation from Variant Human, just to increase that whole intelligence based feeling. So some recommended maneuvers: Trip attack, you're going to be able to essentially wrap the whip around somebody's feet, yank it from under them, and you're going to be able to get more damage when you do so. And then once they're prone, you can get more damage. I believe you have to be within 5 feet, so you can't take advantage of the reach, but once they're down, you can feel safe to move in and really hammer them. Disarming attack. Now, a lot of these I've chosen both on their effectiveness. They are very good maneuvers, but at the same time, it's also just that thematic feel of how you would use a whip. So disarming attack, wrap the whip around somebody's hand maybe, and like yank and shock them, make them drop their weapon, or wrap it around the weapon and yank it away, maybe channel some of that energy down their sword into their hand. And sweeping attack, so you're going to make a nice big arc and you're going to get a couple people at once with your whips. All of these allow you to do more damage than you would normally, so that's pretty great. And just for reference, I've included the recommended right here. It is, as lightning over fire, you do also get less resistance coming up, which is also a nice benefit too. So, hopping into level progression and play advice. So this was originally requested to come online 10 to 12, but we can get this online completely by 6. So, in general, you want to cast your blood right on both of your whips as early as you can and keep them in hand to avoid doing right damage to yourself repeatedly. This is entirely viable as the right itself, in this case Rite of the Storm, lasts as long as you are holding the weapon. So if you know you're going to be going into a dangerous situation, you can cast the right hours before and just walk around with your charged whip in your hand. You may want to only have one whip charged if it's going to be that long period of time, so that you have a free hand to interact with objects and so on. So, level 1, we're going to take fighter and 2 weapon fighting at first, and we're going to start out straight out using our whips, two-handed, able to use our offhand attack with our dexterity modifier for damage, and we're going to get that nice second wind healing. Level 2, we're going to take our dip into Blood Hunter and get Rite of the Storm. Again, second wind is going to be more important than usual with this character because it'll allow you to offset and heal back up that right damage. Now you can't heal the damage whilst you have the rights active because it reduces your maximum, but once the right is over you can bump it back up. Level 3, we're going to go back to Fighter and get Action Surge. Level 4, Battle Master and our recommended maneuvers. I don't know why that word's giving me so much trouble today. It's not like every other video includes the Battle Master. So, level 5 is our first of so many ASIs. We're going to be pumping Dex to 18, and level 6 we're going to get extra attack for 3 whips per round, or 5 on an Action Surge round. So, at level 6, we have multiple attacks, we have maneuvers, we have energy whips, and an average Nova round, so using Action Surge, we'll look at about 70 average damage, assuming all attacks hit. That's utilizing the whips, the right damage, the maneuvers, and modifier damage. So, now as this is all we really needed to get to where we want it to be, I haven't taken it any further. You can effectively play Whiplash full on from level 6, and it's a very viable build for most campaigns. If you wanted to go higher with this, more fighter is what I would recommend in general. You get more superiority die, bigger superiority die, more attacks, and bigger second wind. Second level of Blood Hunter is good. You'll get another fighting style, though defense isn't an option. Something to bear in mind. Although you will get your Blood Maledict, in which case I will recommend taking Blood Curse of the Marked because you get to increase the damage you do from your right, and if they are resistant to lightning damage, you can take that resistance away for the purposes of your right damage. Now Rogue is a potential class to dip into since we're using a finesse based weapon and we're already dex based, but I wouldn't really go further than 4 levels, grabbing that ASI, 2d6 sneak attacks and subclass abilities. Ranger, Gloomstalker is always good. You're going to get defense fighting style for more AC, you're going to get an additional attack or 2 on an action surge with your Dread Ambusher, plus you're going to get spell casting and a whole bunch of other stuff. Gloomstalker is a great 3 to 4 level dip. And if I were to take this character full 20, I'd probably focus on Fighter, picking up that 2nd level of Blood Hunter for the Blood Curse, and then going to Ranger. I would personally probably leave off Rogue. As we're focusing on multiple attacks, the sneak attack isn't really that great. And I would finish off with primarily Fighter, Ranger, and then 2 dips into Blood Hunter. So that has been our look at how to play Whiplash in D&D. Again, this document will be in the description as always for your review. Please let us know in the comments below what you've thought of this video. Would you do it any differently? Also, if you've got any suggestions, throw them in the comments below. Otherwise, please like, share, comment and subscribe. And as always, we will see you next time with another build here on Dorkforge.